Okay, let's see if it worked. Let's see what's happening with Linus. It's not actually as scandalous as it looks. I'm stepping down. It's not actually that big of a deal, as far as I can tell.
Successful companies eventually outgrow the leadership of their founders, and it looks like my time is now. Effective July 1st, 2023, after 10 wild and very eventful years, I will be stepping down as CEO of Linus Media Group, Creator Warehouse, and Floatplane Media. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and I'm going to try to answer them all here, like why now, what's going to happen to the channels in the lab, and if not you, who's going to be around to tell us about our sponsor? The Ridge! Father's Day is coming. Days when we had only 4 employees, thinking, this feels ridiculous, and I've never really outgrown that. I'm a lot of things. I'm a bottomless pit of creative energy, an excellent motivator and speaker. I'm wicked smart, charming, really funny. But in addition to those strengths, both real and imagined, I have a lot of weaknesses, and chief among them is that I've just never really had the attention to detail or the temperament that it takes to run an organization this large. I touched on some of this during my infamous 10 million subscriber stream, but
Oh yeah, when he wanted to quit. I'll be real though, I totally sympathize with what he's saying though. I want to be real with this for a minute. I have a degree in finance. I know the financial inner workings of companies and stuff like that. But running an actual business is a whole other thing. There's so much to do. There's so much busy work. There's meetings. There's all sorts of stuff. Like even just the process of me hiring a team of CPAs to do all of the bookkeeping for this, which is basically me and Jacob, and then occasionally other contractors who work on stuff with us. Maybe occasional payments to independent contractors, different people who help us in various ways. But we do not have a crazy big operation. We don't have 4 employees. We don't have, much less the 80 that they have now. And so I can only imagine how much work goes into doing what he does in the day-to-day goings on of this business. It's got to be insane. And so I totally sympathize with him when he's like, listen, this is not really what I'm into. I don't love running the business. I like making the videos on tech and stuff. That's what I like. I totally understand that. And frankly, having somebody who just handles the business side is going to be amazing for the business, because now all of his energy can go into the creative side of things. So I think it's about time. It's about time.
The truth is, while I did manage to wrap that up with a positive message about finding motivation to move forward, none of those feelings I talked about ever went away. I wasn't built for this, and I'm tired. Really can't do this anymore, tired. And if I try to drag myself through another 10 years of business administration, I know I'm gonna destroy myself and probably end up killing the company and the community that I love so much in the process. I'm at my best when I'm pitching new content or product ideas, or when I'm problem-solving ways to wipe garbage sites like User Benchmark out once and for all. And I have some good news. None of that stuff is gonna be going away. My new role is gonna be Chief Vision Officer, which is a stupid, BS-sounding made-up role, but I think it really is the best one. We thought about Creative Officer, but that didn't really encompass what I'm gonna be responsible for, because my gut and principles are what got us to where we are today, so I'm still gonna be charting the path that I think makes sense. We don't wanna lose our moral compass. But when it comes to the details of how to best utilize our resources to get there, I need some help. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions right now, like who our second sponsor is. Just kidding.
Jesus, can you imagine? They're like, this video is going to do well. We'll just cram it full. Why not? I love how his moderators are not included his operation of his. Well, Hero Brian, you are. The problem is right now, there's no, and I had a meeting with Discord, the Discord people, about this actually, because I was like, I would love to have a way for us to directly pay out mods on Discord and on stream through all that. And they were like, we've actually been working on a tool where moderators from around the world that help you manage your community will be able to sign in to put in their financial information, and then you can send out basically a payment to the mods, and then Discord will handle the distribution and the conversion rates and the deposits and all of that. Super cool. Super cool. And they said that they also were working on a tool that would allow you to basically see like which mods were like the most active. And so the mods who are sending 1,000 messages and are super active in, say, Discord or whatever, they get a larger chunk of the mod fund or whatever. So there are things we're working on, but we also, like, no joke, I think this stream channel in terms of revenue over the last like 2-3 months is probably at about 50 to 60%. Sounds abusable? Yeah, that's why you don't have to use that system. You can just split it evenly, or you can set your own weights, like, oh, these are head mods, so they get a bigger cut, whatever. Like, there's ways to do it. Or like somebody can send a command in chat and they can pitch in like $20 to the mods, and the mods get that, you know, go straight to them, which is super cool. But yeah, I mean, the live channel, still, this whole operation we're doing here with all the live clips and everything, we're still operating at a loss. So this is a labor of love. We're losing money. If I was trying to like just focus on revenues and profitability, it would just probably be the main channel, honestly. But I like streaming. I like doing this, so we do this. But it definitely loses money for real.
Get to that later. First, I want to talk about what isn't... Did I really write that? Sorry. First, I want to talk about what isn't going to change. And the biggest one is the rest of our leadership team. Yvonne and I spent the last 6 months working with them on my replacement, which included having him work for us on a contract basis to ensure that they feel he is A, a competent manager, and B, the kind of person who can comfortably integrate into our team. They are going to be continuing to work alongside him to ensure that this transition goes as smoothly as possible. The next thing that isn't going to change is me. I am not going away. You can expect to see me on camera just as much as you used to. I mean, ideally, maybe more, since if all goes according to plan, I'm going to be left to do what I do best, which is engage with our community, that's you, and create. Speaking of which, I'm going to be doing a Q&A session about this with the community in the next week or so. Make sure you're signed up at floatplane.com/LTT so you don't miss it. Also not changing, our ownership structure. Yvonne and I are still the sole shareholders and directors of the company. So there hasn't been some kind of corporate buyout that's going to force us to sell our souls to cover their purchase investment.
I greatly appreciate that. My concern with all this, like I've heard horror stories, I'm sure you have too, of people who like brought in managers who kind of stole the company from them. And it's always horrifying. Like it's terrifying. The idea that you bring in like a new CEO to run your business for you, and you focus on the stuff you're good at, and then in the process they run it into the ground, or they technically like steal it away from you by issuing shares or something. It's good to hear that he will be retaining control in that way. That's what I wanted to hear. So they're not doing anything silly like that. We like you streaming, so keep streaming. We don't need payment. We just need Luke Stevens content. I appreciate that. Imperial. And yeah, like I said, I enjoy this. This is a labor of love. Like I said, if we were just trying to pump out what made money, we would just do the main channel and, you know, just rock and roll on that. I would spend a hell of a lot less time in the studio, and, you know, because we spend a lot of time down here, but I enjoy the streaming stuff, and maybe one day it will be profitable, but as of right now, it is not. I think we made profit 1 month in March, but it's because we had like so many super chats that month for whatever. I think it was maybe Hogwarts Legacy stuff. I don't know what it was, but I guess that was February. So the payment came in March. So I guess it was February was the month that was profitable. I think it was Hogwarts Legacy, because we had just tons of super chats and membership gifting and stuff. It was a ridiculous month, you know, very, very bizarre. But yeah, it just goes to show you. I mean, there can be ups and downs, you know, for real.
We did have a substantial offer recently to sell out, and I might as well speak plainly. The offer was $100 million, 60% cash, 40% shares in the acquiring company. Basically, it was enough to live in a beachfront hotel for the rest of our lives, for our kids to do that, and for our kids' kids to do the same. We decided not to take it, and there
$100 million. Wow. 60% cash, 40% equity. If it was like, I'm trying to think who would buy a company like that. Maybe like, I don't even know. But $60 million cash, and then another 40 million in investments, in stock. Like, bro's a clown for not taking it. I mean, for one, his life for like 20 years has been YouTube, has been social media, has been pumping out these tech videos and stuff. This has been his day in, day out. And to quit cold turkey would be very, very difficult, because maybe honestly there might be deals. I don't know what the deal constituted. I would imagine if they were offering $100 million for Linus Tech Tips, there was probably an agreement where he would have to stay in the videos and stay doing what he's doing for like 5 years or 10 years or something. So there was probably an agreement like that. And I can understand then, if you think of it that way, it wouldn't just be like, yeah, we'll pay you $100 million and you can just leave, because he's part of the reason that they would want it. And then you think about that, like, oh, we're going to buy your company out. You're going to have all this money, but you'll no longer have any control. If we tell you you're going to do 15 ad reads in the same video, you're going to do it. You know, like, that's crazy. They'll buy it for the subs and rebranding. I don't think they would rebrand it. I think that they would buy it. They'd want him to stay on, and they lock him in for like 10 years, and he just has to ride it out. So I think that makes sense. But man, $100 million, because that is enough money. If he did that for 5-10 years and then he gets out, leaving, you know, after a while, within like, you know, a conservative amount of investment, that can get to the point he could easily be a billionaire by the time he's 60, 70 years old. Easily. Like, it's ridiculous. But Linus keeping the company leaves something for his kids to do in the future rather than just leaving them the money. It's always risky, I think, to leave your kids a business. Because, yeah, you leave them money, they're going to squander it. Leaving them the business, I think they're just as likely to squander it, if not more, because they have to know how to operate the business and do that. I don't know. I know some people. Thank you, Matt, by the way, for becoming a member. Thank you, Matt. Welcome. I know some people who own like a family business, and there's a lot of debate and questions about what they should do with the next generation, because the saying is always the first generation makes the money, the second generation preserves and grows the money, and then the third generation squanders the money. And once you're on that third generation, you can see it. Like, the third generation is super frivolous with the money. They don't really handle it carefully. They don't have a real appreciation for it. You can tell. Linus's kids would probably do great with it, but it's going to be interesting to see what he does in terms of an exit plan. It's good to see he's not burnt out on making the videos. He's just burnt out on the business side of it.
For a few reasons for
What's up,
that.
Tanner?
First is that, honestly speaking, it wouldn't really change our lifestyle much. I mean, what are we going to do? Buy an even bigger house? An even faster car? I mean, that's never really been us anyway. Second is because we love this company and the people in it. And I just don't think our mission's complete yet. I'm not sure that it will ever be. My point is just that our attitude towards money, so make lots of it and keep reinvesting and building this thing to do even better, it's not going to change, and you're not going to see the kind of short-term thinking that comes from investor pressure. Our long-term thinking is just going to come from this guy instead. On that note, then, let's talk about what does change. And this is actually mostly for the benefit of my team who's watching this, but you guys might as well be in on it. The biggest change is in reporting. No one will report directly into me anymore. If there's an issue with salary transparency, or the snacks in the lunchroom, or the warranty on the backpack, or whatever, I promise you, I give you my personal guarantee, trust me, bro, whatever it is, there is somebody else who's in charge of that, and that is by design. Yvonne and I have laid out a clear set of guidelines for how we want this company handled. With integrity and compassion, people first. We want to make strong investments in building something that's going to continue to offer growth opportunities to everyone who's part of our team. Beyond that, though, the buck stops with the new CEO. I'm not going to be stepping in to undermine him. And this is a big shift that's going to mean we're all going to need to break some really old habits. With that out of the way, then.
Dude, that's got to be so refreshing, though. Like, just imagine for years you've been the point of contact for all of that crap. And now, in the span of like a day, you just don't have to worry about it. Man, it would be very interesting. Very, very interesting. But X and Y, thank you. Welcome. Glad to have you. It's gonna be very interesting. That's gonna be one hell of an adjustment for real.
Who the hell is this guy, right? The keen-eyed among you might have noticed that the picture I showed you is actually from the roast a few years back, so this isn't your first exposure to Mr. Taran Tong. He was my boss when I worked at NCIX, which makes him kind of uniquely qualified for this position because managing me is a challenging task. I'm
Interesting.
everywhere.
He hired his old boss. What a baller move, dude. That's gotta feel great. Wow. Hiring your own old boss. Oh man, I would not stop grinning for years if I did that.
Even the most skilled of administrators have struggled with it, and he's one of the only people to ever successfully do that and teach me. He, and I mean, if I'm being honest, really, one of our other colleagues, begrudging shout out to Jack, the two of them taught me most of what I know about business, both what to do and what not to do.
But didn't NCIX like implode? Am I crazy? I thought it imploded. It's like no longer a thing. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was that Jack guy that he just kind of tossed out. But honestly, like of anybody to bring in, I guess it makes sense bringing somebody you know. And he knows how he runs the business, so he knows how he's going to treat people and what. Like, okay.
Shout out Jack. In the years since his departure from NCIX, Taran has done stints at Corsair and Dell, both of which have been successful enough that they've thwarted all of my previous attempts to hire him. Seriously, since pretty much day one, I've been looking for an excuse for us to work together again, and every single time I would talk to him, he was worth so much more than the last time that I'd go, damn, I guess we're not really ready for this yet. But now that the deal is inked, I'm really excited. I'm excited to work with my friend again. I'm excited to have a steady hand that I can trust on the tiller of this ship. A second steady hand. I haven't forgotten about Yvonne, who's the only reason I've lasted this long at all. And I'm also excited about the mentorship that he can provide to me again, and also to the rest of our team. We are headed into a really exciting new chapter, guys. Better videos, better products, new investments that are going to make us just the primo source of tech information on the web. I'm sure of it. Now, I don't want to say too much more about him for now. Once he's onboarded, I'm sure he's going to want to prepare a little thing to talk to you guys about. You know, it'd be kind of fun. Should I interview him? Is that as funny as I think it is? You know, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. In the meantime, I can assure you that he is zero bullshit. He's a super hardworking guy with great attention to detail and not only a ton of experience in the computer industry, he actually has a background in media as well. He formerly wrote at Neoseeker, if you want to go dig up some of his old articles for fun. Sorry, Taran. Sorry for bringing that up, and sorry for turning your introduction here into this segue to our sponsor, Micro Center.
Dude, like the magic of Linus Tech Tips. I don't think people appreciate, by the way, what he's done for YouTubers in this like techie gaming space. He's normalized. This guy's normalized these ad reads in these videos. And I'm not joking. If a video makes $500 in ad revenue from just doing pretty well, being seen by people, you know, does pretty well. You can get a sponsor for that video that probably is going to pay anywhere from $2,000 to maybe even upwards of $10,000 for sponsoring that video, depending on how good your agent is at negotiating it. That was not a thing even 5-6 years ago. But because of the work of him and his team, normalizing this, doing those negotiations to set those standards, he's made it so not only is it more achievable for people to make a living doing this than ever before, but it's also easier for people to make a really good living doing this just by those ad reads and sponsorships. Yeah, I think it's easy to just be like, oh, they're so corporate. But honestly, like you get used to these ads so quickly. They do the little quick 5-second call out to Ridge wallets in the beginning, and then they go and they move on and they do something big. I can't get specific because of obvious reasons, but I recently signed a contract with a pretty large company for a sponsorship, and their format for everything they wanted, they basically signed a deal for like, you know, we want a 60-second ad read, and then we also want like a pre-roll, kind of like the Ridge Wallet ad read in this video from Linus Tech Tips. Like they described basically how Linus does his videos, and puts these ads in here as what they were looking for. So like this guy is responsible for making it so a lot of those creators you know and love can make a living doing this, and you got to give him props for that. Did Linus do a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship and his community lost their minds? Yeah, I think what it was for him is he was just like, okay, it's like a game. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay. like the audiences are smart, okay? Like you guys are very, very smart. If you guys ever see me do a Raid Shadow Legends ad, you know that like it's wink, wink, nod, nod. We're getting that bag. Like, and if you don't want to play the game, you just don't download the app. Like it's pretty straightforward. And if you're interested in it, download the app. Easy. Like you guys are smart. You get it. But I think Raid Shadow Legends specifically is such a meme at this point that it's really easy to just like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I understand why it's easy to get upset about. But he did the sponsorship, and then I think he was like, people got really upset about that ad read that we did for that mobile game. And he was just like, so is it really people just don't like ad reads for mobile games? And the audience was like, yeah, we just don't like them. And he's like, okay. They just moved. That was a scandal and a half too. It's so weird. Like, I don't know. I don't personally understand the drama behind it. If they make you, like I said, some of those mobile games, not saying Raid, but some of those mobile games will tell you like, you have to say word for word exactly this. And you're like, but I wouldn't say it that way. That's not how I talk. The artwork is phenomenal, and I cannot recommend this game more than a possible maximum. Like, I don't talk like that. Like, too bad. You have to read it like that. That's what's written. And those ad reads, I totally understand why people are pissed about it, because it's like, it's not genuine. It's just super fake. But if it's just like, hey guys, listen, I got sponsored by this mobile game, Candy Crush. There's all sorts of new levels. You can pay to get more tries or whatever it is. I don't know how Candy Crush works, but it works like this, and it's super fun. If you're looking for something to pass the time on your phone, check it out today. Like, I don't see the drama behind that, but some people obviously do. He took my thing. Red flag, red flag.
16 times the detail.